Okay, we are rolling. Hi, everybody, to the second episode of ELTA Podcast. And today we have a very interesting guest, Antti Innanen. We were looking forward to this conversation for a long time. Everybody who is in any capacity on LinkedIn probably reads, follows Antti. Because he is a man of many hats, and we will probably be talking about most of them today. So he's a very interesting person at the intersection of many areas in legal tech or in the legal industry in general. So let's start. Hi, Antti. Thank you for doing this.
Hey Holger, hi Marisa, thanks for having me.
Great. Let's start with some kind of introduction. As I said, probably most people who are reading you on LinkedIn, they know who you are, what you're doing, but shortly give a background, who you are, what's your way in legal tech, what's your background?
Yeah,
Couple of sentences.
thanks Holger. I'm a lawyer by trade. Uh, Always been interested in building stuff. So I've worked in the traditional law, then founded my own law firm. And from that, I got interested in human-centric law and legal design, went on that journey for a little while. And now I'm back in legal innovation. And, I was always a little bit of a misfit and trying to fit in, trying to work out like my angle of what I could contribute. And yeah, to be honest with you, there is no really master plan. I just try to follow the problem that is interesting for me. And the problem is always the same. The law pushes away people instead of helping them. So I try to contribute in building in a different direction.
Right, yeah. To be honest, the misfits are the people who are bringing everybody and everything forward. So that's probably the best you can be, not fitting into the system, but try to change the system if it's not working. And the legal industry obviously is not working at its best. There are issues, and we see that you're one of the few people on the intersection of a lot of fields like law, technology, design, entrepreneurship, and now AI. But what's the common thread in all of those areas? What keeps them together and makes them interesting for you?
Yeah, I think that that's a good question. Maybe in the law school, like but coming back to the misfit thing, I knew that kind of like the normal lawyer path wasn't for me. So I come from kind of like skateboarding, snowboarding, DJ type of culture, whereas do-it-yourself culture, world where you don't really ask for these kind of permissions, you just make something, right? So this is maybe like the common thread of all of these things that I've just started getting interested in something and then making stuff, whether it's a book or a law firm or agentic uh, legal tech tool. Nobody really gave me permission to publish any of these things.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe the common thread that creates. And then second, I've always enjoyed working with very diverse group of people. I've always liked to work together with designers or tech people or people who come from a little bit different background than my own background. And I think that's a common thread too, to open law or even my work, a little bit to these kind of like different influences, like not only looking at the problem from a legal perspective, but
Yeah.
from many different perspectives. I've always loved that kind of work. I've always loved to sit next to a designer, for example, and I'm now trying to bring that that idea into maybe the agentic world, right?
Okay. Yeah, but if you mentioned that you're looking at the legal industry from different points of view, over the years, what belief about or the thought about the legal industry hasn't changed. So if you look at from different perspectives on the legal industry, what's your core belief that hasn't changed? If there's some core belief about the legal industry that hasn't changed, maybe you came to a conclusion that the legal industry is different from what you were looking at it 10, 15 years ago.
The core problem is always the same. It's always like making law feel more human. And I think that
Yeah.
has always been like the core problem for me. And I tried it with legal design for a little while. Maybe it didn't work as we planned it would work, but now it's living like in a different way in the AI world. And I think that's like maybe the core problem, the core thing that I've always carried with me that doesn't really change. And I've been into many different kind of like legal transformations during my career. I was into blockchain, I was into metaverse, I was all into all of these things that people are ridiculing right now. But the core thing is what has still been like we need to make law more human, we need to make law more understandable or practical or even more fun, maybe. That's
Yeah,
like the core idea behind of
yeah,
everything.
And Holger, that is the perfect segue for me. I need to admit that being here and listening to you, Antti, and being also a big fan of LinkedIn, we are connected for a long time. But now hearing these words from you and this points, it's almost like looking into the mirror. So for me, it's also extremely joyful because it's so rare. And I think for you, it must be rare too, to the misfits, the people that also, I don't know if it happens to you, but so many times people ask me, what are you doing? Because for them it's so weird. And at the same time, I need to admit that you knew that I think the difference here, if I may point, is that you were very aware of your difference. I was not so aware. I think my path was an attempt to fit for a long time. And also, for the ones who don't know me, I'm a Portuguese lawyer, so I was bred in a very traditional place. And only moving to the Netherlands allowed me to explode the world of possibilities within, and then understanding that, of course, I was different. And so that part of not asking permission, why do you think you had that on you? Because for me, it was so difficult. And I need to admit, it is still so difficult to show my true colors in the sense of all my expertise and the skills I acquired. And as you, for example, being completely in love, making part of a book that talked about legal design, also seeing the backlashes of many of the things that we tried, but blockchains and well, and now being even in spheres that nobody understands, only me. But how do you think that maybe where you come from, the legal professionals were already open, or it really is inner, it comes from your spark that, I'm sorry, I'm not going to
No.
apologize.
I totally understand your question, and I wasn't always like this, and I think that it all started with when I was studying, and it all started from music production. I always wanted to make music. I always wanted to make like electronic music, but I had like no idea how to produce any kind of music, like no traditional background, nothing like that. Just an idea that that could be something fun to do, right? But it's difficult, and I always thought like maybe I could intern in a studio, or maybe there was like a producer out there that could help me out, or that I could find a mentor, or maybe something cool would happen to me, but it never did. Never, nobody
But you
mentored
never
me.
thought about, for example, studying then music. For you, the path of the studies were.
No, not really. No. But the point that I'm trying to make across is that I waited for several years for somebody to come to me and help me out. Nobody helped me. In the end, I took a small loan from a bank and I just purchased the most random music shit that you could get.
But
Straight from
going
the
back,
store. Yeah.
why did you went to law?
Well, good question. I explored many different things, and I'm a dropout from philosophy. So I thought like maybe I could complement philosophy with something more like tangible, And at the end of my philosophy studies, it became very clear that I'm not very good at philosophy, and I need to figure something out. But to circle back to my story, I just bought random music shit from a store. and then started exploring with it, and little by little started like accumulating like more and more songs that I actually quite like myself, just trying out different kind of stuff. And then I would send these songs to artists, and suddenly these artists, like not like big name artists, but established artists, wanted to collaborate with me. And I was like, no way, this is so easy. Like you just buy something, then try it out for a couple of years, and then send this to people, and then you're a musician. I mean, I'm not the real musician, but anyways, I got to collaborate with some great people. I got a new nice hobby. Wasn't really commercially that successful producer, but that was a big thing for me. Like mentally, that opened like floodgates in my brain. I thought like
A world of possibilities, right? You tested.
If I could do this with music, I could do this with anything. And with the same idea, I founded law firms, did legal tech tools, founded associations, everything, wrote books. And everybody always asked me like, okay, who gave you kind of like the idea? Who gave you the permission to publish something like that? Nobody.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's really freeing if you understand that it really does depend only on you, not on anybody's permission. And probably if you go into any industry, it works the same in any industry. If you really have the talent and the knowledge, the rest is technology and probably some skills. But yeah, that's interesting. So we probably have gained a good lawyer, a good legal designer, but lost a good electronic music artist. So
well, I wasn't that talented, but for me, it was just a fun hobby that kind of like unlocked many things in my brain.
That's interesting because I've been exploring. Well, I have a publishing background, and I've been publishing journals for lawyers, and we also sometimes explore what lawyers are doing outside of the legal world, because they always come over, especially for people outside of the legal world. That's some very serious people, very fixated on the law and problems, issues, and so on. But they are people like everybody else, and they're good photographs and sportsmen and so on. So that's an interesting point to make. Yeah.
And also, Holger, if you allow me, that debunks completely the argument that lawyers are not innovative, creative, or interesting people. I always find it amazing when I'm in some conferences and I think, which lawyers are you talking about? But yes, so I think it's more important that we start seeing the other lawyers that sometimes we don't see.
Yeah. I never bought into that because I'm not a lawyer, but I'm working with lawyers for now almost 30 years. And I never bought into the notion that lawyers are technophobes because they are not using every legal tech tool or every tech tool available. If you look back, lawyers have been probably the first ones to adopt was it called? The RIM device, the BlackBerry. So you could get it out of their cold hands only, and then they have been probably the first ones to adopt the iPhone. So if the technology works for them and gives them the possibility to make more money and be better at their jobs, they are very quick to adopt it. So that's probably some hint to the legal tech industry to look at their tools and look why lawyers are not adopting it any quicker. So they're not technophobes, yeah. And talking about legal technology, so you founded the Finnish Legal Tech Forum almost a decade ago, and then in legal tech, a decade is probably like 70 dog years. From your perspective of 2026, with all what's going on in legal tech, legal AI, and so on, what did people misunderstand about legal tech back then?
Well, I don't think
if any.
Yeah, I don't think that they really misunderstood anything, but the reality was like nothing happened for years. So when AI arrived, I don't think that legal tech was really ready for it. And I think also we threw away a lot of good ideas a little bit early because the market like shrugged a little bit. I'm thinking about my old ideas, like people laugh at blockchain, that's like a haha fun thing, but we could really use that now that AI is like centralizing everything into few companies, and people love that metaverse, but I don't know. We're still using Zoom after like many years. It hasn't changed that much. So it would be nice to work someplace else other than Zoom or Teams. I mean, this is good, but it's not that like futuristic or inspiring. Do you agree with me? And people, laughed at maybe Web3 too, but it would be very nice to have share in the value of these huge AI companies, billion-dollar companies,
Yeah.
instead of just feeding them. So maybe two things that it went like gradually and then very suddenly into the direction of AI, and I'm not sure if we were prepared for that one. Nobody was really prepared for this, and then I want to revisit some of the old ideas that we had in 2016 and maybe come back to those ideas like if we had, something good going on still.
Yes, I guess, and probably some of the technologies have been just too early. I remember when you basically dragged ELTA into the metaverse, and to be fair, we
Good
used it one.
times.
We used the metaverse once again for corporate gathering, for some kind of decision making gathering, but that was it. But I guess it will come back at some time. It's just it was too early, and you're right. We should probably revisit a couple of those technologies. But if you look, lawyers are still using Microsoft Word in 2026. So there are probably some technologies like Zoom. People use it, it works, and so nothing bad about Microsoft Word or Zoom. But sometimes we probably could step up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about technology and legal tech has always been somehow prone to be hyped, overhyped, and so on. So in 2026, what developments in legal tech are currently, in your opinion, overhyped, and which ones are still underestimated? So overhyped, you probably know a lot of, could name a lot of companies or technologies, but underestimated, not so much.
Okay,
So what's your
little hype check here. I think that overhyped are the legal tech tools that just produce more legalese, that automate the same thing that maybe we should get rid of,
yeah,
or the tools that just produce like huge blocks of text.
yeah,
I think that those are overhyped, overrated, and I think that we are taking maybe steps back a little bit from the legal design movement where everything was supposed to be well designed and understandable. It doesn't mean that we don't have to build to that direction, but I'm not seeing the ambition in many of these tools. Like nobody wants to build better law. They just want to build faster or a little bit less hallucinations or just
yeah,
small tweaks here and there, and not to take like completely different direction that would maybe serve people a little bit better. So that's overhyped. What is now underestimated? Maybe some kind of like tech that could let people actually participate and share the value. I have no idea what that could be, but I feel like we are participating as lawyers. We are participating quite a lot in this technology. We are just like feeding the technology at the moment, but I don't know if normal lawyers or law firms are getting much back. So maybe that's something that I would like to see, that people who participate in this or the firms that participate into this heavily would have something, their share of the value that bigger companies are building. And then of course legal design built on AI tools instead of like bolted on afterwards. That is something that I would love to see in the tools. Not many are exploring that one. That could be the mode. That could be
yeah.
something different. That could be something exciting. And maybe the third one that I'm very excited about are the local models, the AI that lets your data stay in your computer. Open source is obviously very much connected to local models, but that's what I'm exploring at the moment. So
Yeah. But
this is
that's
that's the
interesting.
hype.
And so if I understood you right, in the terms of overhyped technology, so you probably don't think that technology really changed the legal industry, transformed the legal industry to the extent possible. So it's probably more we build the technology on old processes so far. Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, I think that mostly we just digitized the old process. We took the old way and gave it like a nicer little screen. And part of the reason is analogies. I think that we are stuck on, the talented junior associates or, like a very literal helper type of analogies when building. And that's very natural when something new shows up, that we try to describe it with something that is familiar with us, and then we build to match the old thing. And you can see this in many legal tech tools where they have wooden panels and cigars and 50-year-old good-looking actors. You know, this is the old world. This is
Yeah.
like this is and they are projecting that kind of worldview. Maybe there's a little bit like a tongue in cheek, of course it's advertising, but I still feel that we are kind of like building from old analogies of what legal work could be. And I tried to change this one with Lavern, with the new open source legal tech tool. And I started building from like a law firm analogy. And of course, that is skeuomorphic too. It's a law firm, but I tried to take the good things out of like the law firm analogy and leave the hierarchies and the marble floors for somebody.
But Antti,
Yeah.
for the ones who are distracted and not know anything about what you build now, because this is a journey of more than at least 15 years, right? For most of us in legal innovation and technology. So I really, of course, this is a little bit a summit of it all, right? In a moment that, of course, you can build in 5 years' time, we can find you in a different tool. And I agree with you. I've been saying that for the design thinking of the courts, of the processes of the law, we really need to have a reboot in a sense. And in Germany, I launched the idea of a legal renaissance that would be the courage to reimagine the system and not keep feeding a system that has so many infrastructural problems that the tools only make it worse, not better. And as you say, not better law, for certain, not better access to justice. And I think it frustrates a lot us professionals as well that would like to do more and better. But I really would like to understand a little bit and go to the spark. And what was your thought process to arrive to a product? Because it's also very different what we can produce and products, and of course, the idea of the market, right? Because unfortunately, we don't have yet a renaissance where investment in justice and legal capacity would come also from the state capacity, so governments. So I really would like, as a creator myself, to understand and that you allow our listeners to go and pick a little bit your brain, and now you arrive where you are now in that.
I think that this is an interesting question, and I really like the idea of legal renaissance. That we would have like a complete restart of a reboot of our brain, what it means to be a lawyer, what it means to be a legal professional, what are we actually trying to do here. But in terms of like building stuff, I think that this is an interesting thing that has happened in many industries before. When the production costs of doing something get close to zero, it makes more, sense to publish things also very openly. It makes more sense to not sit on things. And I feel like the music industry has already understood this for several years. If you publish an album, you're not maybe making that much of money, but maybe the money is in the gigs or the sponsorship deals or something like that. I feel that we are entering in that era in law too, where people are very open of what they're building. People are publishing more and more stuff, and then letting other people explore on top of those things. So I think that that's interesting. That's like a new kind of strategy that previously you would have done a product, because that the costs are so high of developing something technological. No, it's just the costs are pretty much nothing. You can do whatever and then just publish it and hope that people like it and hope that you can make money out of that one in some capacity or form. And I think that's very exciting development too. So what I would say to people is like, don't be stingy with your stuff. Don't always try to build a product out of all of your ideas. Don't try to monetize immediately. Think of it from a different kind of angle also. Think of it like maybe it could help some people. Maybe it's not, maybe not everything needs to be a product. And that's my idea also with something that I've built now. So I decided just to release it open source. Maybe people will enjoy it. Maybe people will build on top of that one. And maybe I can find like a weird way of monetizing it at latter stage or not.
But now for the ones
I'm
that
comfortable with that too.
Holger, before your question, and for the ones who don't even understand anything and have heard about what you built, in a very short client view, what they experience when they enter, what is and how to navigate it.
Yeah. So basically, I built a LegalTech tool that has 67 agents that are all like different kind of like specialists. If you think of regular LegalTech tool, it's always you're prompting like one assistant. But now you have group of people, and the idea, the analogy behind it is that you're working in teams. You're orchestrating a different kind of team. And if you want to add a plain language agent or a design agent or different kind of flavors, you can add that to the mix, to the discussion, and that way you can build also different kind of legal like end products and outcomes. So that's the idea pretty much. And I think it's the first agentic system that you can look inside, that you can pop the hood, look at the code, look at the agentic prompts, look how I built it, and you're free to criticize it, you're free to use it, you're free to do whatever with it. And I think that's also interesting. It's like one of the first like agentic artifacts that you can actually like, touch and, try to break or do something with it. So it's not theoretical, the discussion anymore, but you can actually, you have something almost if you had a car that you can pop the hood up and see how the engine works. Otherwise, it's very theoretical amongst car mechanics to discuss something, that actually runs, right? So that's the idea. It's a LegalTech tool, open source.
It's just fascinating because that's something I never would have expected in LegalTech to happen. People publishing something open source, and now you have seen macOS, Lavern, Macro today announced that they will publish or already publish it open source. The guys from Legal Quants, everything is open source. So, and I think maybe lots of them haven't figured out yet how to make money of it, but you always have that shining example from Finland as well with Linux. People made a lot of money out of Linux and other open source projects, and the only hope is that somebody or the community will support all those or the majority of those projects and develop it further, because that's always the issue. You're sitting it on GitHub and nobody is really caring about the project. But that's a fascinating development, which could probably totally change the legal industry and access to justice. That's extremely good. Well, we have been talking about AI already to some extent, and so I wanted to ask you, what's your opinion about AI as a technology in the legal domain? Is it just another legal tech tool, or is it something that will change the legal industry and the legal tech industry like nothing before?
Yeah, I think it's, of course, there's hype cycle like always. But I really feel like this time it's different. It is different, and everything will change. But I also feel like change is normal. It's quite humane, and everything has already changed so many times over. We might not just notice when it's our turn. It's just assuming that things would be stable is maybe like wrong. I think that they never were. So I think that a lot of things will change. Legal jobs will change, but they always have changed. So, I think that this time it is a little bit different than the previous times, but I also think it's pretty much the same, that we are already used to that kind of like changes. Change is normal, everything changes. So I think that what I would like to see from legal industry is that we would be maybe more prepared for it, that we would take it seriously, and we would go to the original principles. Maybe what Marisa is starting to do with the Renaissance. I really feel like this gives us an opportunity to rethink what it means to be a legal professional, what it means to be a lawyer, what it means to be working in a legal field.
And also because I was recently in one of the best moments that I had in recent conferences, which we need to admit that for us, it sometimes it's a little bit frustrating, because I used to say that the last years was like a flat ocean for surfers. It was like nothing was really novel, right? After what I call the big peak of 2016, 17, then we, after 2020, things start getting really, really flat. But like I say, recently I heard, and of course it was a non-lawyer, neither a vendor, a legal tech vendor, but it was someone that was talking from the depth of economic modules, and saying that, of course, for example, for law firms, the big hit will be not the technology itself, but how it alters the module of the economics of things. But I was provoking some colleagues of mine, saying, go back before the big law firms. And I can say this because, of course, we see movies, as you say so well. We are so influenced by Hollywood that we forgot that, first of all, the rest of the world is not Hollywood. Second of all, especially in Europe, we're talking about always isolate individuals in practice, or small firms, or medium firms, which means that the big law firms was a module that also came after, with the big consultant firms and all of that. And I think their era is about to end, in a sense of, before it was not like that, and it will not continue to be like that. And maybe ironically, the technology will create again the capacity of smaller structures, more agile, more capable, and hopefully more human. But in that sense, this alteration of the economic modules, complementary to this idea of the legal text itself, but the law firms they are the economic motor of this transformation. As you said, the money is or in governments, or at this moment in law firms or companies that have big legal departments. So I would like to pick your brain in a little bit of this alteration of the economic models itself, in your perspective, as what do you think it's going to be then, this big challenge towards changing what the professions mean, the infrastructure of the professions, but even the economic models of it?
Yeah, good question. I think that we are seeing now the rise of AI native law firms that are quite small, that don't maybe go back to the ways of working like the older law firms that you mentioned, that have like a core team of maybe like 10 people, and they are very much like AI enhanced. I think that this is something that is going to grow very fast. The truth is that many big law firms don't have really the incentives for being really innovative, right? They lack the true incentives of being innovative. And building those incentives is quite difficult. But I think that if we could build those like real incentives for law firms to change, maybe change would happen. But if you think of typical law firm hierarchies, how partners make money, the pyramid structures, these ones are the hourly billing. These are difficult to change within the system. So it would almost mean of a complete like restructuring of what is a law firm. So I'm not holding my breath thinking that the big law firms could change, because they have no incentive of doing so. At the same time, these are full of innovative, smart people. So I think that, building these incentives, I don't even know what they could be, but building these incentives could be like a way out of this one, whether it's starting new law firms or investing into legal tech or just completely rebuilding the
Antti,
model.
but a little paragraph in the
Go
middle
ahead.
of the reply that I don't want you to lose the
Go ahead.
train of thought. But don't you think that the talking about incentives, the survival of the module itself would not be an incentive for them? Because I saw everybody very comfortable, and now I don't see them so comfortable anymore, even the big law firms that have a lot of money. So don't you think that we are start also to see very far reach, but a quick example, taxis versus Uber, hotels versus Airbnbs. But don't you think that the incentives will be less and less the old idea of incentives? But are we not going to survival mode of them as a structure?
I don't think that they need to go to a survival mode. Law firms are a little bit like, basketball teams. They have players on the floor, and in a couple of years they will retire, and they will make a lot of money during that period. They don't like the team needs different kind of incentives than the players need. And I think many of these structures that we've described here are the essential core of a big law firm. It's very difficult to change these ones without changing, the actual firm. So I think that it's not going to I don't think that we are going to change the structures. I think that the pyramid structure, the billable hour, these will persist for many years. It's the law firms that are going to collapse. That's what's going to drive the change. The structures will stay completely the same.
I am afraid you're right that at least it will take some time. So the operational model, the pyramid structure is more than 100 years old. The business model, the billable hours, more than 100 years old. So that's something, it works. And nobody really wants to touch it because it still works. The pressure has to come from outside of the legal industry, from the clients, and that's not really happening so far. But I think that AI may change that. So you came up with a radically different model, a law firm operating system in a box. If you push it to the extreme, you could run it without a human lawyer, which is probably not recommended to do, but it might be possible for some use cases. So it's leaving an impact in the industry anyway. So probably the billable hour in itself will never die, because for some work it's probably the best model. But change is happening, and I guess it's probably not happening in the traditional legal industry. They will come up with some resistance. But there are younger lawyers, those who already see themselves left out of the industry, because if you look, AI will reduce the number of junior lawyers that are getting hired, and probably law schools for some years will put out the same amount, because a legal degree is still highly valued. So they have to find something else. And they probably say, okay, there's something on GitHub we can use free of charge. We don't have the money. We are 200,000 in debt anyhow. Anyway, so let's try an AI native law firm. And that concept will probably fly for some of them, and then people will notice it. So it's a process. So, but we can't leave the topic of AI without talking about your book. Prompted, I found it fascinating, because if you just buy it because of the title, Prompted, and you think, well, prompt engineering is your topic, or context engineering now, so I have to learn it, and then you find out, well, it's not so much about prompting, but you almost become an AI whisperer. So it's communicating with a machine entity, and getting out the most. And it's like talking to a human, because the way you're talking with a human, you get more out of them if you really understand how to talk to a human. And you come from the design industry. I always use that as an equivalent. If you have to design something, I'm coming from publishing, and if I ask an author what kind of cover you like for your book, and make it fancy or make it look good. Well, that's not so much to work with.
Sure.
Same with that prompt. So yeah, let's explain to people who haven't read your book what's it about.
Yeah,
where can they buy it?
That's a very, very good analogy. Hope, glad that you asked that, Marisa. You can buy it from, drumroll, buyprompted.com, right? Good. I mean, it's a good.
We will leave it in the comments because we want to make sure that people reach easy the information.
Excellent.
So and
excellent.
this podcast, for the ones who are not at the where, and since you are our second victim, Antti, we have a dedicated YouTube channel, and so we will start doing the normal things of trying to put information as much as we can, because also, of course, we want to leave some useful information in a way that people can reach it also easy. So
cool.
Yeah. So
thanks, Marisa.
And after buying the book, what are they going to find?
Yeah, but good, Holger. I think that you understood kind of like the premise of the book. The word prompted means that you are prompting the machine, but you let the machine to prompt you a little bit. You are having a back and forth. You're having an actual discussion. And of course, we don't want to humanize too much of these tools, but still, I feel like the original way of creating context, good discussion, good honest discussion, is still very much undervalued as a good prompting technique. And I'm really happy that the book cycles are so long, because when I started doing the book, it was cutting edge stuff. But now it's just regular, normal stuff. And I feel like it reaches people way better after like 1 year. And I think that there's not like special techniques like, okay, this is how you should structure prompts, but more I'm going back to my old philosophy, dropout roots of what is a good conversation, or how can we build context together, and what are the good analogies that we can use when working with these machines, and where we should maybe be careful, or where we should not use the very humane analogies in our work. But I'm glad that, Holger, you managed to kind of distill the idea of the book very, very nicely.
Yeah, it's aging well, because you have all those collections, 20 best 20 prompts on contract review and so on. They get old the next time a new model comes on the market and so on.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that one too. I've done AI courses. I've designed AI courses that didn't age that well.
Yeah.
Completely obsolete, completely outdated at the moment. So I've been.
Oh, but that's but in the book you describe an approach, and that approach doesn't get old unless the models become AGI models, and then we are useless for them anyway. But I don't see that happening very soon. So
they'll remember the good conversations that you had with them, right?
I hope so. And well, we cannot leave you without talking about legal design, but that's a huge part of your professional life anyway. AI or not AI, but legal design, and you're one of, if I have that correctly, you're one of the founders, initiators of the Legal Design Summit, which is one of the best conferences, full stop, in the legal domain, very well organized. And legal design is very, very, very prominent, especially in Finland. I never understood what's in the water in Finland, that 80% of legal designers coming from Finland, or living or working in Finland. But that's not the point. So with all the prominency and communication and books about and conferences about legal design, why is it still not mainstream? Because the idea human-centric legal service should be understandable for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, good. Good question. And to be honest with you, it's not us that are organizing these events. It's more of a movement. A lot of people are chipping in. So maybe there is something in water in Finland. Don't know, but it's not us only anymore. It is in a weird way going mainstream now, just not the way that we originally pictured it. It used to feel like quite special and handmade, almost like a craft. You know, we would handcraft these policies that look
Yeah.
great, but it was very like analog. And now it's becoming like normal, but it's turning more into infrastructure, something that maybe everyone does, or something that you can ask your AI to do. So I wish that this would become a mainstream way of doing, because Claude, for example, knows how to do legal design. They have digested the courses. They've gone to our courses, probably not paid anything for our courses, but I think that they have, just they have the materials, right? So these tools are capable of doing legal design work, and yeah, we imagine like a very analog movement, like a almost like a handmade craft movement. Well, we got something better, a little bit more boring, not so much like handcrafted stuff, but it's becoming maybe the default. At least I wish that it would be the default in these AI systems. And it's a great chance for great opportunity for legal design to scale. For many years, we thought like, okay, we're doing good things, but the scaling of these services is so difficult because we always have to do it by hand. We always have to do it ourselves to produce these good results. Hopefully, we can scale this thing, to the max with the AI tool. So it is going mainstream, just not the way that we originally thought it would
And
be.
Antti, if you allow me, of course, being someone that did wrote a chapter on legal design thinking, I think it's also extremely important to understand that it was a novelty, and a lot of people came together around this concept. I remember the first time I talked with Margaret, the mother of also, as you say, the movement. But at the same time, I think there's a really big difference between what is the legal design thinking, or the design thinking, versus what is design services. And I think the maybe the next chapter is where also this understanding is clearer. And I think maybe the technology will allow us, and I was joke saying that I'm in the designer field, I would never succeed. But now with the tools, I can express my ideas that convert into images, which for me is a superpower on
sure.
a whole different level. So talking about this design thinking, and what do you think we're going to really see also a little bit of restructuring the services, that we're going to understand what is consultants that allow this process of thinking and designing your business, your strategies, that these are elements that are a little bit in the consultancy side of things, and then harmonizing this, what is the design of things and the designers and this multidisciplinary approach. Do you think we're finally getting into this new stage? Because I need to admit that I'm getting a little bit frustrated. Time is passing, and I didn't saw also the progress I wished. But what are your predictions for what is going to happen? I'm very curious.
Good question, Marisa. Let me cut it here for a little while. I need to get more power for my laptop. For some reason it's
not a problem.
No problem.
Just a moment. I'll try to fix this one. Maybe we have like a power outage here, or
no worries. I will do a pause if you want. And then
do a pause, please, and let me just check. Thanks, Marisa. That's a great question. And I feel like, we had the renaissance of legal design companies a couple of years ago. There were many legal design companies popping up, but I think that now most of us, we are converting into AI field, and that's a little bit of a shame, I would say. I would really like to see legal design thrive in the future, but I think that we are all excited that it could scale with the AI tools. So I really feel like we should retain the original spirit of legal design, but we have to be responsible also with the AI tools. And I feel that's like a huge opportunity for the whole legal design field. At least that's the direction where we are going. But I still have to say that, I feel a little bit like nostalgic of the old times when it was workshops and analog working with your legal design buddies and designers and lawyers working together.
Well, I admit that I am very curious for what's coming, and because I really always had soft spots for this topic. For my side, and mindful of the time, and before I pass you to Holger, I'm very curious about your thoughts about the roles of bar associations, of the judiciary, the governments, and also in the perspective of someone that has almost like a 360 view, and even a little bit of geographical understanding. And I talk about this because being a Portuguese lawyer coming to the Netherlands, the shift of understanding of cultures and the way we perceived laws, courts, and all of this, I think it was a huge contribution to my vision. And I think you did a little bit the same, just the other way around. So I'm very curious to see and to pick your brain on this particular topics, not going into much depth, but I think sometimes we don't talk about the rest of ecosystem, and it will have an impact, of course, in technology adoption or any other changes.
Yeah, I see that as a huge part. And what you described is very interesting, like moving to another country, working a different system, working with different kind of people, having different kind of influences. At least for me, it has been super valuable. So I've worked in Finland, in Spain, who knows where I'm going to work next, but I'm trying to like bring all these like little different pieces of the legal culture, but also the other culture, like how people are acting, or how the legal system is built, or how the profession looks like. All of these little things are super insightful for me in my work. And I think that same has happened to you, Marisa, as well, when you moved to Holland. Now you can see it, the same problem from a little bit different kind of perspective. So I
No,
think
for
that's
me,
very valuable for us, just to shift the perspective, because legal work is typically, it's quite caged. You're looking at from one angle. You're an associate at a law firm, you're doing M&A, you have like a tunnel vision of what is legal work or how legal work should look like. But then you go outside of your little bubble, you meet somebody or you do something different, and then that opens your mind a little bit, and now you start to see more like complete, more diverse picture of what is to be a lawyer, or what is to be a legal professional or work in this field.
indeed. Holger, do the
Yeah.
honors of
Yes, let's wrap it up and with a question: what, in your perspective, in your view, Andy, what could an association, a European association like ELTA, do for the legal tech, legal design, legal AI ecosystem? What's your perspective? What could we do? What could we do better? How could we help the community to achieve all those goals we have been talking about today?
Yeah, I like to come back to the idea of the Renaissance. I think that you have a lot of power in kind of like questioning these old ideas of what is to be a legal professional. And I think opening up that discussion is something that ELTA could also do, because you are an example. A lot of people are following your footsteps. So I think that you hold a lot of power in there, and opening up these discussions will, do a lot of good for the industry. Then the second thing is that I say to everybody, like, you need to stay curious as well. Like, you need to figure out like new ways of doing stuff or building stuff, or if something happens, go to that direction. And then maybe the third one is like support the open movements, support the open source movement, for example, support that people are publishing their stuff, support of people sharing their resources. So share the love, ELTA. Also, when you see something good happening, share the love a little bit. Support the openness and the new way of building things inside of legal profession.
Excellent advice. We will do our best.
Good.
Thank you.
This is such a joy, Antti, because recently I dared the LegalTech event to start imagining the responsibility of all of us to indeed bring more value to the table. And I really would like to imagine ELTA as a stakeholder of LegalTech for good and LegalTech for justice as well. So it's such a joy that you say that to us. So for sure we will keep it and hopefully count with you as well to be a force for making your ideas and our mission and purpose a reality.
Good.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I bow to you.
Likewise, was a pleasure to learn more about you. And I guess people will be very interested to learn more about you. How can they find you outside of LinkedIn? Last question.
Well, you can go to the Lavern website. That's one place where you can look for the open source tools. Then you can go to our website. Sometimes people forget that we also build like regular normal things for clients. So maybe go to our website, www.wearelegit.ai. So that's the AI side of things. Maybe you could visit that one, or then you can find me on LinkedIn. You'll hear from me, even though you don't necessarily want to. So it's all good.
All right. Okay. Thank you again.
Thank
And
you.
best of luck to you. Bye bye.
Ciao, ciao. Bye bye.